Hello, everybody. It is me, Crendor, and welcome back to Two Nerds podcast here with Nixxiom.
Wait, hold on. 5 o'clock in the morning. Greetings, friends. It is me, your good friend Nixxiom. We're still looking for that logo, or logo, whatever you want to call it, the intro soundbite thing.
Yeah, that's right.
One day, I'm looking for it anyway. Yeah. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Still making videos, content, non-content.
How's Cat?
Cat's doing good. He's been being a cat, running around, eating food.
Yeah. Cat's doing good. He's just being a cat, you know?
How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I will begin this podcast by saying this. I'm gonna kind of show for you a little bit.
Okay.
I got a pair of Crendor sweatpants.
Oh.
I did at crensloth.com. Right?
Oh my god.
And
That's amazing.
yes, and I have been wearing them. I wore them for probably about 5 or 6 days in a row. So they started smelling like ball-tacular, if you want to just leave it at that. So they are currently in the wash, and they've been washed. So I just got to unload the dryer and fold up everything. But I can recommend crensloth.com. That's right.
Thank you. I appreciate your recommendation. And guess what? This guy's a real person, not an actor.
Yeah, like I'm actually like a real person. Like I was not paid to promote crensloth.com or the Nixxiom corner store.
Yeah.
Like, hey, my shirts and my like sweatpants and stuff are comfy too. Love it. But I don't know. There's just something special about those Crensloth sweatpants. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to do the yeah.
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 Yeah, dude.
I don't think I can fully do it.
That's okay. That's all right. Well, we did not upload an episode last week. Mostly because I admit, honestly, because of me. Like, it's been a pretty wild past like 2 weeks because yesterday was my birthday at the time of us recording this. So I'm 28 now. And so there was just sort of a lot going on. Hanging out with friends, going here, there, and everywhere, spending time with the family. And then when me and Crendor did have time to record a new episode, it was like Wednesday or Thursday at that point, and it was like, well, maybe we just won't do an episode this week, and then we'll just record on Sunday or Monday once we have time, and it's Monday evening right now, so
Yeah.
another Tuesday release, but that's okay. You guys are used to it. Mondays or Tuesdays are when the episodes come out. Yeah. So they're used to it. It's fine.
Yeah. No, it's like how I'm always late to stuff. People get used to it, and they're like, it's just Crendor time.
Yeah, it just gets late. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the last podcast, we were talking about changing up the Two Nerds podcast, like kind of going forward. And it's still something that me and Crendor will talk a little bit more about, like behind the snes, like, hey, like what do we want to do? Like what are we passionate about? But we got some really awesome feedback from you guys saying like one thing we talked about was like, changing the name. Because we were thinking about changing the podcast more into like a self-help sort of thing. We wanted to talk about like a huge variety of subjects. A lot of you guys were like, oh, be careful, you're kind of narrowing down your niche. You might run out of things to talk about. But I mean, we could talk about, being a content creator, how you get into that, the mentality, how do you deal with drama, the books that we read, schooling, like there's tons of stuff that we could discuss, money, investing, like whatever. So it's a huge thing, but we got feedback in that regard. People were saying, no, I don't think you guys have to change the name from Two Nerds Podcast. You could keep it the same. And so it was just a lot of good feedback. So I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for leaving your comments. That was really cool of you all. Yeah.
Very cool. Very neat. Proud of you.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah. But we decided that for this episode, just before we started recording, I was like, we should make this particular podcast episode a sort of like who are you sort of thing. Like who are you behind the Nixxiom, behind the Crendor? And we kind of chose that theme, and we just figured we would roll with it.
Yeah.
And see where we go, right?
Yeah.
So,
because I feel like we've talked about bits and pieces, but it's probably like nice to just be like, here's who I am in like a general sense.
Yeah, I think it also a lot of people. I've seen these comments popping up in previous episodes, and even like on my Twitch stream. Like there are a lot of people out there that would like to be like YouTubers, Twitch streamers, self-employed, like, whatever. But they sort of are like, well, I want to do this, but I feel like I'm not the right kind of person to do this. And like, what is the right kind of person? Right? So even that's a question. Like, can anybody work for themselves, or is it a select few? No, that's a question. And so
that is a question.
Yeah, and so we were just like, oh, well, let's just talk about us, like in our personalities, and maybe Crendor will be like, oh, I'm really into this, and this, and you might be like, oh, well, I'm into that sort of stuff too. And even if you don't care about, YouTubing and business stuff, whatever, you might just be like, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I've talked a lot so far, so I'm just going to throw this basketball into Crendor's court, and I'm just going to say, like, Crendor, who are you behind the Crendor? And tell us something. Oop, I dropped my Powerade. Tell us something that we don't know about you.
All right.
Go.
I feel like I'm in like a room where we're like sitting in a chairs going in a circle and be like, hey everybody, my name's Crendor.
It's Crendor.
Everyone's like, hi Crendor.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I would say I am a person who is, I would say I'm pretty creative, very anxious.
Okay.
Which is always ironic because I think a lot of people are like, man, Crendor's the most chill, sloth-like guy ever. And deep inside, I am extremely anxious. I just don't express it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I'm also very, I don't know what the word, like routine-based person. I like routine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most people like routine. Some people like, constant, like sporadic days, like I don't want every day to be the same, whatever. But I really enjoy routine where I'm like, I wake up, I eat my oatmeal, I eat my blueberries and my walnuts, I drink my coffee, I check the internet, then I go for a walk or go to the gym, and then I come back, I make a video, and then maybe I go to the grocery store or something, and then maybe I read a book, and then I live stream, and then chill with Toaster Woman, and then it's like I'm that type of person. I like routine.
Okay.
I kind of live like an old retired man.
Okay.
When I break it down.
Break that down.
Break it down.
You're just old retired person. You're lazy.
I wouldn't say lazy. I would say simplistic.
Okay.
Because I'm not like sitting around all day watching TV or something. Like I'm actively doing things, but it's a matter of like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a very simple. I guess I'm like a boring person.
Okay.
It's a very odd. I am like an odd mix of like boring, yet creative. So it's like someone just took two random attributes in an RPG and was like, these look good. And I'm like, all right, here I am.
All right.
I actually also consider myself very Hobbit-like. Not in like terms of like body. Like I don't have hairy feet. I'm not like 4'1" with like, a gut. But like I enjoy, hobbits, they kind of enjoy the simple things in life. They don't want to go on adventures. They enjoy like, being around friends and close people. And then once you actually go on an adventure, like travelers, you're like, I don't want to do this. But once you do it, you're like, hey, you know what? That was pretty fun. And then I go right back to doing my like Hobbit hole thing.
All right. I can
Yeah.
already say that just based off of just that information, what's interesting is like right in the beginning I was saying like, oh yeah, let's figure out like the whole idea of like maybe the what is the word for it, like the business person, the YouTube person, the self-employed person is a particular kind of personality. So I wasn't really sure
Mm.
what Crendor would say with that question, like who am I? But here's the thing. You talked about, oh, I really like, structure and a good schedule,
Mm.
right? I hate structure and I hate schedules. I absolutely loathe it. Like, it's one reason why I really have struggled with Twitch over the years. Like, I've got my Twitch stream and I've got like a great audience and everything, but I really hate being like told or knowing in the back of my head that I have to do this thing at this time. Like, I'm more of a like a free spirit. I like to know what I have to do, but I will do it on my own time and in my own terms.
Well, I kind of like speaking of that. I wouldn't say I'm like a strict schedule person. Like I hate
Okay.
being like you must be at this thing at 7 p.m. and it must be like I hate that. But I'm kind of in between where I'm not completely like free spirit or anything, but I enjoy the that type of thing where it's like, oh, you have to get this thing done this week. And I'm like, all right, I can do it whenever I want.
Okay.
And so it's more of like a lenient type of schedule thing. But I have my routine that I do that isn't I don't have to do it, but I just do it because I enjoy it.
I mean, like for me, there is only one thing that I am like really like hard on when it comes to like a schedule, and that is that Saturdays are always my dedicated cleaning days, where I just
Oh,
sort of just clean my house. Like I'll vacuum and I'll wax like the furniture and everything. I'll do the whole 9 yards to make my house as pretty and nice smelling as possible. So that's like the one thing that I keep on a strong schedule and a strong structure. But yeah, I would say that if that's your description of like being on the structure that you go with throughout the week, that's very similar to me. Like I'll be like, okay, I have to, like, my preferred thing is I'll wake up and be like, okay, hey, it's a stream day, so I have to
hmm.
stream today. But I will stream, like I have to stream, but I'll stream when I want to stream. But first I got to take care of this, this, and this. I tend to be a very like free spirited personality. I like to. I don't know. I've talked to my friends about this before, but I sort of have the personality of like a like a hunter gatherer, where like I like it when I don't know what's gonna happen next.
Hmm.
It's kind of like rewind the clock. Like you wake up and you're like, okay, I gotta go hunt, but like anything could happen, like on that hunt. Anything could happen on that like adventure to like go get water or just like go collect like some firewood or something. Like, yeah, you got like some chores you got to do, but like there's a sort of excitement in the unpredictability of, oh, what's going to happen when you're like out gathering that meat or something. And so I really enjoy surprises.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's why like I'm not like if I know exactly what's going to happen, I become very frustrated. And so when things feel too routinely, I tend to not like it. And that's why I tend to like spice things up every now and then. Like even with my YouTube channel going forward, I've been thinking about the kind of content that I want to produce. And one thing that I am planning on doing, I know not everyone's going to like it, but honestly, I just want to do it because it's spicing things up. I want to put a
All right.
lot more like vlogs onto my channel. And like a bit less like gaming content. I mean, it's still there, but I just want to do a lot more real life stuff. Just because I really enjoyed the adventure that was going out in the woods. And I did this video where I just went out in the woods and I identified caterpillars and like seeing how people responded to that. Like, people were like, this is amazing. You're just like out in the woods just talking about caterpillars and mushrooms. I'm like, yeah, dude, like I like that. And then it's an adventure for me because I don't know how my audience is going to receive it, and then they receive it so well and I'm like, okay. So that's,
I love it too.
Yeah, so that's one thing that you said. The other thing that you said that I was like, oh, I'm a bit different was you mentioned that you have anxiety. You're an anxious person. I have the same thing. I too am an anxious person. Do you like being told what to do?
Not really.
Okay. Would you say that you have an issue with authority, or is it just like I just don't like being told what to do because I'd rather just be like in control of myself?
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with authority. It's more I like being in control of my own thing, which is part of the reason I wanted to be self-employed because I mean, I guess kind of tying it into like the type of person that wants to become a YouTuber or streamer. Like I didn't grow up being like, oh man, I want to make videos. I want to be a streamer. I mean, it didn't exist, but you know, when I was growing up, I remember saying I want to be self-employed.
Yeah.
And that was what I always said. And I remember people being like, well, that's not a job. That's just a thing like that comes with the job. And I was like, no, I want to be self-employed. And then, you know, here I am where I've been self-employed now for like 10 years or something. So, I mean, I think what I enjoy most about that aspect of it is that I'm in control of like what I'm doing. So like if I'm gonna work today, if I don't make a lot of money that day, I'm like, it's my fault. I didn't work hard enough. I didn't, you know, put the effort in. And then the next day I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. One example, I remember like years ago, maybe like 7 years ago, I made one WoW machinima and it was like this test idea I was doing. And I remember put it up and everyone was like, this is okay. And I remember it got like a couple hundred dislikes and it still had like 1,000 or 2,000 likes. And I remember just being like, I was so upset. And I was like, I got to make something. And so I spent like the next day or two just writing another machinima and like working hard and doing it. And I put it up and then everyone loved it. And I was like, all right, like I cleared my mind of that. Like I had to do that to clear my mind. Like it bothered me. So that's an example.
I'm definitely it's a weird enigma because you described yourself earlier as being like what was it? You were like, oh, it wasn't like you were lazy. It was like you called yourself like, it was the thing where you were like, oh, it's like a random character generator in a game or something.
Yeah.
I forgot what this
said, like boring or simplistic.
Yeah, boring and simplistic. Like for me, I'm the exact same way. Like I have no issues with authority, but I just don't like being told what to do. Like same thing. Because like I don't know, I like for me personally, and maybe this is, you know, you're hinting at this, and maybe this is like the one character trait that we have, and because I've talked to other, you know, content creators and some of my friends that own businesses and stuff, there is this sort of like, it's not even that it's like, oh, I don't like not being told what, or I don't like being told what to do. It's just sort of like, I just sort of like the responsibility of what you're talking about. Like you sort of live and die on your own actions.
Yeah.
Like there's just something kind of nice about that. I mean, it's hard sometimes. Like you can really stress yourself out, and it's very easy to fall into a hole, like especially if things are just going wrong. But ultimately it's sort of like reinforcing that, you know, life lesson of, you know, everything is your fault, and that sort of like reinforces itself like every day, and you feel more like in control of your life, and there's something kind of pleasant about that. Yeah. What about something?
No, I definitely.
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say I agree with that. I was gonna even mention the cleaning thing. Like I love cleaning.
Okay.
And one of the
Me
things
too.
I hate, one of the things I hate is that sometimes I'll put off cleaning because I like procrastinate it. Like, I can clean later. And I remember I saw a therapist like a few years ago for my anxiety stuff, and like I only saw him like a couple times because I didn't really click. But
Hmm.
I remember I mentioned I was like, yeah, I was gonna clean and I didn't clean, and he was like, well, why didn't you clean? And I was like, I mean, I had other stuff to do. And he's like, would you say cleaning is important to you? And I was like, yeah, I'd say it's important. And he's like, well, then why don't you do it? And I was like, I don't know.
I was busy.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, you should probably make time to clean then if it's important to you. And I was like, I probably should. And so that
Okay.
kind of it put it in a different light where I was like, yeah, why don't I clean? And so ever since then, I've kind of just taken that into account.
Hmm. I don't know. I like when I was growing up, like my family made me clean and clean a lot. And it's not, oh, you just pick up the things off the floor and throw it in the whatever. It's like you pick things up, you vacuum, you mop, you wax the furniture, you soap the floors, like you do the whole 9 yards, or soap the carpets, I should say. Like
Mm.
you do all of it. I haven't actually done the carpets in a while. I should probably do that at some point. But yeah, like the whole 9 yards. And so I don't know. There's just something. Everybody's read that like the whole idea that like you work better and think better when like your environment is like clean and feels controlled. And I don't know, it sort of just adds to that because I don't know, if I go like a few weeks and I don't clean up my house, and let's say the dishes pile up, let's say they get moldy, it happens. And then there's just like crap everywhere. Like I start like it really starts to wear on me. Like
Yeah.
so, but I also wanted to
No, it wears on me too. I was gonna say it's almost like I always felt like when something's cluttered or like a mess, it feels like your mind becomes cluttered.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Maybe we're just like control freaks.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's really all it is. Like that's the secret ingredient, guys. You got to be a control freak.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like, well, I was gonna ask, what is something about you that might be like that people don't know, or that would be unexpected if they weren't aware of it?
Um, let's see. Well, I'd probably say the anxiety part
Okay.
because most, like I said, most people don't know that I'm anxious.
Hmm.
And I don't mean just like, oh man, I hope this does. I mean like actually like deep anxiety,
Yeah.
like crippling anxiety at points.
Yeah.
Like it's bad. Like especially it used to just be like traveling, or health, and I still get it, but it's easier to manage those. But sometimes like I'll just get generalized anxiety that pops up, and it just kind of ruins your day or your week, or you have to just get by,
Hmm.
like managing it.
Yeah.
So it's it's a weird thing to like explain to someone that doesn't have it, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know.
How would you define anxiety, like in your experience?
Uh, it's kind of it's like, what's a good word? It's like a catastrophic feeling. It feels like everything's kind of crashing down,
Okay.
and it like debilitates you, and you're just like you can't handle the pressure. And even if you're like, this is so stupid, like why am I worrying about this thing? It's gonna be fine.
Hmm.
It's almost like your body overrides that, and it's like, no, we need to worry. And
Yeah.
it just puts you in that kind of stressed out state of that like fight or flight, and it puts you in that constant like you got to fight or flight like nonstop over. It could just be like anything, something dumb,
Hmm.
and then usually after like a few days it'll like wear off. But like it's like sometimes that's what usually you go into the gym actually helped a lot. And now that I'd like do exercise at home and stuff, but it's not the same. And so I feel like that made my anxiety worse. And in retaliation, I don't know, retaliation, in like, along with not working out as much and doing all that, it leads to like physical problems. Like I'd clench my jaw or like I'd grind my teeth when I sleep.
Hmm.
I would like get IBS because like your gut is tied with your brain and anxiety. So whenever you get anxiety attacks, you just like get IBS attacks. And then I don't know what's something else that had just like tight muscles because you're like when you're stressed, you kind of clench up, right? You're like,
Hmm.
eh.
Yeah.
And so it like tightens your muscles. So it's not fun.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had similar problems with anxiety for most of my life, although not that bad. I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. I can't relate to like a feeling of constant, like, clenched up or like the IBS or grinding my teeth or anything. But I
Mm.
know like one thing that I have, and I mean, no one has ever like no doctor has ever told me this, but like something that I have is ever since I moved to North Carolina, I have had a constant cough, like for most of my life. Like I'll just cough, and occasionally
Mm.
people will hear me do this, and they'll think that I'm sick. But I'm sort of convinced that like my cough is sort of like a physical indicator of like my own like anxieties, because I tend to find that when I'm really relaxed and really calm, I don't cough. But as soon as I start like thinking about something that makes me a bit anxious, or maybe I get on a podcast or a Twitch stream or something, and I like think, oh my gosh, I'm being recorded right now, it makes me want to cough. So
Mm.
I think that that's like something where like other people might sweat or grind their teeth or whatever. Like for me, like I just have like a cough, like a nervous cough. It used to be a lot worse. I mean, it still can get bad sometimes. I'll be like coughing my brains out. Like if I'm like, oh my God, like really freaked out. Like if I'm about to make a speech like in college or something, it's like, blah, blah. But yeah. But nowhere, I mean, especially over the past, like I would say, uh, several days, 2 weeks or so, I spent a lot of time with my friend Voldikun, and he's a studying psychologist, and we talked a lot about like anxiety and like blah blah blah, and we talked about his past and mine, and we kind of came to like a lot of really like strong conclusions. And I've been applying a lot of those conclusions into my life over the past like 2 weeks or so, and it's been incredibly helpful for me, like just calming my mind, and kind of putting that subconscious storm in your head like at ease.
Mm.
I would say that for me, uh, something like I've talked a little bit about like anxieties and stuff like on stream and whatnot, so I would say people know that about me. But I would say that if there's something that people don't know about me, and I'm not really going to talk about this, I'm just saying like, oh, this is who I am, but I'm not really going to go into too many details.
Mm.
Number one is I'm actually a very, very religious person. And a lot of people don't realize that, because Nixxiom there's two things that I have like put on the whiteboard. Number one, Nixxiom is not religious, and number two, Nixxiom is not political. Those like two of my mantras. Like you will never see me talk about those two things like using my platform. This is like the one exception. And that's the second thing. Like I'm not political at all. Like behind the scenes, people. What's your opinion on this? What are your opinion on? I don't care. Like I don't care. I know that some people on that side of the fence will attack me for saying that. People on that side of the fence will attack me. I just don't care. Like I don't know. I like going back to my earlier talk with the whole like when we were talking about structure and like unpredictability and stuff. I mean, most of my days are spent like something that I do, and this is like a small part of me I've been expressing on my Nixxiom channel, Nixxiom Unleashed. I tend to spend a lot of time like out in the woods. I like to go hiking. I like to go mountain biking. I've been doing that a ton recently, and that's a lot of fun. And I spend a lot of time like just in peace. You know, I like smoking a cigar and then reading a book, and you know, I like sipping a lemonade in my backyard, like by the campfire. Like that's me. Like that's what I like. And I've always told people like, oh, the cell phone and social media are the fastest like trains to depression. So like I don't even like bother with any of that. Like sometimes when I go walking in the woods, I know it's like some people are like, you shouldn't do that, but I won't even like take a cell phone or anything out there with me. It's like, oh, if I die, I die. Like who cares? Like, but I just leave all that behind because I don't know, like just there's so much like anger and there's so much like pain in the world. And people just sort of feel the need to constantly express it in the online world. And this is why even like my first video on Nixxiom Unleashed, where I was like, oh, you know, dealing with like, you know, if you like dealing with like depressions that can come on from being a content creator, the first piece of advice that I gave is just get away from all of it. Otherwise, it'll just wear you down. And so like that arena, like the political arena, like I'm just like, nah, dude. Like, I've never really been interested in that stuff, so I stepped away from it. So
I was gonna say even like with Corona.
Yeah, the Corona.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Like when Corona hit, I remember that gave me such a like anxiety attack. And it wasn't even like, oh, I'm gonna get Corona and die. It was because, as I mentioned like before, like I'm a very routine person, right? Like I go to the gym, I go to the store, I walk around, I do my thing. And when it hit, it was like my routine and my world was shutting down.
Makes
And
sense.
I didn't have like an active moment of like, oh my God, but it just like, it kind of just crept in and it was like a slow burning, like, oh my God, like I can't go to the gym now. Like I can't do this thing. It just felt like everything was collapsing around me and that just spiked my anxiety like really high to the point where for like 4 or 5 days, I was like a mess. And I would still like stream and be like, what's up, everybody? But deep down, I was like, I can't wait to just not stream and just like not do anything and just like sit here.
Yeah.
Because it was like destroying me. And so I kind of just, the best way of dealing with it is like I would just walk or I would like paint my Warhammer shit or build and just try to get my mind off it. Because that's like all you can do until it like goes away. But it was like, and the one thing that spiked it would be going online because everyone online's like, you know, talking about everywhere, wherever you go. And so I told myself, like, I found an anxiety Reddit where they would only post good news about the thing. And I was like, I don't care if these articles turn out to not be true. I don't care if like, you know, if they're like, say, here's a promising study and it turns out the study's wrong or whatever. But like, I just needed like positivity for my own mental health. Cause I was like, at this rate, like I'm going to die of a heart attack from like fucking like reading all this shit. I don't care if I'm informed.
Yeah.
And so I would just look at the positive news and it was just other people doing the same thing. And like, it just helped my mindset. And then eventually after I calmed down a bit, I was able to like, you know, read more of the like actual stories happening and like, you know, I didn't have to just look at good news. I could start slowly mixing in like bad news or whatever and I was fine. But like, it's, you know, it can overwhelm you with like the amount of information you can find online and just see. And it's, your brain's not really meant to handle like that much information.
Yeah, like, well, first thing, a few things. One, yes, I agree with what you said right in the beginning. I think the Corona situation has just worn out so many people. Like, people are bored. People are frustrated. And I think that, you know, it's fear. Like, that's really all you see. Like, everywhere. It's fear, 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 fear. And your mind just gets worn out from it. Like, it's just, like, I don't know, like people, like even me, like I was thinking about it the other day. I was driving around near my mom's house. She lives like an hour like south of me. And I was telling Crendor that I decided to see if Barnes and Noble was open near my mom's home. It's a bookstore for those that don't know. And it's just been closed for months. And I pulled up to Barnes and Noble just to see. And oh my gosh, like, the doors are open. The bookstore is open. Oh man, manly tear. And I went in there and I bought books and I was sitting in there and I was reading and it was amazing. And then I went to nearby there's a cigar shop, or it's a smoker's shop, and that was open too. And I got like some cigars for like my cigar streams on Twitch. And I don't know, like we were even talking just before we started recording this, like I've been doing these cigar streams where I've been expressing this sort of like this side of myself a bit more beyond like, ooh, like what's up gamers, like that side of me. I've been expressing more of the like, oh, hey, like I just like to chill and smoke a cigar and sit by the fire and just kind of just chill. And like the streams do very, very well. And like people will, like, even today I was streaming myself playing WoW and people were like, dude, like forget WoW, like do another comfy cigar stream. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like people are just looking for peace in their minds. Yeah. People are looking for like an escape. And like, I don't know, like for me, because of, you know, like my beliefs and because I distance myself from that sort of stuff, I just like, I've got enough fear in my own head from my own anxieties. I don't need the world putting more into my head. I mean, you can call that naive if you want. Like, oh, you should stay informed and up to date with like all this stuff. And I'm like, no, because I see what it does to people. It just destroys them. And then
you can only handle so much.
Yeah, like I don't know, like it's just I've seen good people turn into hateful people, and I've seen happy people become depressed people, and it just eats you. And so it's a world that I'm glad I'm not really a part of. But whatever, some might say that's naive or foolish, but I just like my walks in the woods, yo. And yeah. So like earlier today, or excuse me, not today, but yesterday, like for my birthday, like I did the greatest thing ever for my birthday. Like I was it was the day before my birthday. I'm getting my days confused. I knew that my birthday day was going to be spent with my friends and my family, so I wouldn't have really any time to myself to do what I wanted to do. So what I did is I gave myself the greatest gift in the world. Like, I was like, oh, how am I going to celebrate my birthday? You know, like I'm going to be hanging out with everyone tomorrow on my actual birthday, you know, June 7th. What am I going to do on the 6th? Like, I've got this time to myself. What am I going to do? So what I did is I drove to downtown and I sat in front of City Hall and I read a book and I just enjoyed the sunshine. And like, that was it. And I just did that for like an hour, and then I just took a walk, and I was like, that was an amazing birthday. I loved that. And then yesterday I spent it with like my family and my friends, and so, and like, and then I get home, and then you open up Twitter, and like everyone is like freaking out about this thing or that thing, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's enough, and I just close it, and then I just go back to reading my book. You know, I just put out like a tweet, like, hey guys, streaming later, and then I just close it, like, you know, that's my life, yo, like playing music, like. Sometimes I'll just go to downtown and I'll just play music for people. Or like when the Ren Fair comes in, I'll sing for people. Like I'll take some of my instruments to the Renaissance Festival, and I'm not like an employee there. Like I just dress up and I'll play music, and then like the little kids will listen to my songs, and I'll start singing some like folk songs, and it's nice. It's fun. Like I don't know.
I kind of wanted to ask you a question.
All right, hit me. Anything.
So about just creativity.
Okay.
So I've heard a lot of times that anxious people are creative people, and kind of vice versa, because you have an overactive imagination.
Okay. Yes.
And I'm not sure if it's like, you know, 100% true or just kind of whatever, but like, I'm curious, like, when you make, let's say, machinimas, you want to write stories, do you like visualize everything in your head? I've talked to like other people, and they're like, oh, I can't really visualize a lot of things in my head. Like they just can't do it, and so I'm curious as to like how you think.
So here's something that I do. Some people might say this is crazy, but something that I do is I talk to myself a lot. Like especially when it comes to like finding a solution to a problem or coming up with an idea. My dad used to always say, hey, if you want to talk to someone who truly understands, talk to yourself. And so. I always thought that was funny. But no, like what I'll do is sometimes I will, like if you can envision this, like I'll pace maybe in the living room, or I'll go out in the woods, and I'll ask myself questions. Like let's say, you know, I was making a new machinima. Like let's pretend I'm making a new machinima right now. What would I do? Okay, I would take a walk. living room, woods, whatever, and I would say, okay, I want to come up with a new machinima. I mean, let me pretend I'm doing it right now. All right, I want to come up with a new machinima. What is a kind of video or a machinima video that I've never made before? Okay, that's a hard question. Let's start by saying this. How about a zone? What is a zone I've never made a machinima in before? Fellwood. Okay, what's something funny about Fellwood? Demon pee everywhere. Like everything is green. The rivers and shit. Demon pee. I don't know. I just start spitballing ideas, and then I'll be like, yeah, like there's an idea. Okay, and then Nixxiom could do this. Oh, and then Mookluck could do that. Like, okay, blah, blah. And then I get home and I just write it down. And
it's funny because that's like literally what I do.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like the exact same.
Like I remember one time, one of my ex-girlfriends, she was helping me make machinimas. Like we had just gotten together, and she wanted to be a YouTuber as well. And I gave her this speech one day. I was like, okay, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna work with me for a bit, and then we're gonna work on your own stuff. Okay? She was like, all right, cool. Sounds like a great plan. So I'm gonna show you how I do it, and then you'll learn how to do it, and then you can do it on your own. Cool. So like an apprenticeship. And I was like, all right. I need to make a new machinima video. This was back during when I made the video Stood in the Fire, which is one of my favorite machinimas I've ever made. And I was like, okay, we need a new machinima video. Go. And she looked at me and she was like, I don't know. And I was like, never say I don't know. The moment you say I don't know, it means you gave up. You just defaulted to defeat. You never say, I don't know in anything in life. You say, let me find a solution. So, and then what I did is right in front of her, I paced around for about like 4 minutes. And I was like, okay, never made a video in the Maelstrom. Never made really a video about Deathwing. Yeah, Stood in the Fire achievement, Cataclysm, Nixxiom Mookluck, Nixxiom trying to get the Stood in the Fire achievement, pulling up Deathwing's corpse, Mookluck, fire, got it. Write that down. And then she was like, so I wrote it down. and like that was it. Like I came up with a video like just that fast. Like I just ask myself a series of questions, and then from it a story is created. And that's how I do it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty much the same. Like I talk to myself a lot, and I also can usually envision things pretty well, which it always blows my mind when people are like, I can't envision anything, and I'm like, what? Because like I envision a lot of stuff, and so I kind of do the same. Like for example, I made how fans ran WoW, and I was like, all right, so what do fans do, but on like a grand stage essentially, right? So you're kind of amplifying it up. So I'm like, all right, there's the guy who's just kind of like the dumb whatever WoW player. It's like, I like when WoW gives me free shit. And then he's just like, all right, I want candy. Like, yeah, give me candy. Yeah. And then you just like throw that in. And I'm like, all right, and what would the other person do? It's like Billy, who's just like, I'm a noob. And then you got the other guy who's just like, you're idiots. I'm the hardcore guy. And then you like start thinking from that perspective, like, all right, what's he want? He wants like hardcore shit, like zombie dragons. And it's like you start writing that all down. And before you know it, you like have the characters. And once you have the characters, then you can kind of think for the character and be like, what would this character think in this situation? If the other character like made fun of them or like brought up this idea, he might be like, we'll have like super battlegrounds. And they're like, that's dumb. I just want to eat candy and shit. Mm-hmm. And so, it's like, yeah, it's like you're spitballing and you're kind of swinging it. And that's pretty much how I wrote like every WoW machinima I've done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, like, and it doesn't even have to be WoW machinima. It could be anything. Like, I mean, I do the same thing when it comes to, like, shit, like, even, like, investing. I'm like, oh, what's my investing goal? Like, oh, I want to make this much money on the stock market. Okay, cool. How am I going to do that? What is doing well right now? What is not doing well? How much do I want to, like, if I bought this, how much would I collect in a dividend? If I bought that, how much would I collect in a dividend? Does this help me achieve my goal? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Now I will follow the plan. And it's not a plan that I'm following where it's like, at this time, do this thing. I will just, I don't know. It's kind of like looping back to full circle. Like if it's essentially because I told myself what to do, I will now do it. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. No,
so,
I like completely understand it, and I think I'd like to hear how other people maybe think up ideas, whether you're writing a book or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
making a film or a movie. Like, should comment down below and be like, "This is how I think," or "I think the same way," because I think there's a lot of different ways people think, which is mind-boggling.
How someone actually left a comment on the previous video. I don't remember their name, but they were saying that they tend to overthink. Like, oh, like they described themselves as a perfectionist. Like, oh, I'm gonna make this video, but you get to the point where you're like, oh, well, it has to be perfect, and people aren't gonna like it, and then they just end up doing nothing. And they were like, well,
Yeah.
like, how do I get past that? And I mean, I have my thoughts on that, but I figured we could answer that too real fast. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I've known people like that, and I know people like that where you hit a point of like they don't want to do it because it's not going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird for me because I'm not that. Like, I overthink a lot, which causes a lot of anxiety, but I do it in different areas of my life. So like, I overthink about health issues, and that creates anxiety to the point where I'm like, it's crazy. But in terms of like actually making like videos or writing or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna make it and it's gonna be good. And I don't know why my brain is able to do that compared to like other aspects of my life,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just I don't know, it's just how I think because I've always been really good at just maybe it's because growing up, my parents were like, hey, great job at like writing or drawing this picture. Or like, wow, you played a game really well. So maybe that's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think that fear is a very, very powerful emotion. And it manifests in the form of anxiety, in the form of stagnation, in the form of many kinds of depression. Fear is really powerful. And I feel that if someone said to me, oh, like, I want to release this video, but I'm like a perfectionist, like, and I feel like it's not good enough. That's just fear. Like, you're afraid. Like, you're afraid it's not good enough. But the thing is, it is good enough because it was made by you. Because you are good enough. And maybe that's something that you've forgotten. You think that your talents, you're like, oh, I'm a good artist, but I'm not as good as that guy. So that means I shouldn't waste my time. No, that's not how you should think. That's not how you progress. I think that if there's, this is a huge subject, but I think that a lot of, I'm no psychologist and I'm no scientist, but I would say that, I mean, I don't think this is far from the truth. I think that a lot of the negatives that we deal with come from the fact that we at times or simply have forgotten to love ourselves and to trust ourselves. Because if we trust ourselves and we love what we do and we love who we are and there is faith, there's no reason to be afraid or be anxious anymore. And I used to be a lot more anxious when I was younger, but as I've gotten older and I've stepped away from so many things that paint me as a victim, and I've stepped away from things where people have told me to like hate or feel angry at this person or those people or this thing about myself. And as I've spent more time like just living instead of overthinking, I've found that my anxiety has rapidly declined. I still cough sometimes. I mean, even like, on this recording, I've coughed here and there. That could just be a cough. I mean, I'm allergic to dust mites, by the way, fun fact, and dust mites live in your clothes. So, I mean, that could be it too. But,
Yeah.
so maybe my cough is just that. But compared to how I used to be, like, I mean, I can do public speaking now. I can, talk to ladies, no problem. That's no big deal. Like, girls are weird. I'm weird. So we're like perfect compatibility there.
Yeah, we should just do a whole thing on like social anxiety.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say we should just do a whole episode on girls. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think that, fear is very powerful. And I think a lot of things just when you really dig back and you peel back layers, it's just fear. And then it's just a matter of, well, like, what are you afraid of? Like, oh, I'm afraid of, X. But then you peel it back and then you realize, no, you're actually just afraid of Y. And then it's like, okay, well, let's confront Y and let's find a way to not be afraid of it anymore. So maybe, I don't know, I'm just spitballing. I'm talking to myself, I'm trying to find a solution to a problem by just rabbling. Maybe your idea of like, oh, I need to make this perfect thing. And if I don't release this perfect thing, then it's not good enough. Maybe you've just forgotten how to trust yourself. Maybe that's all it is. So
maybe they've never trusted themselves.
Maybe, and maybe it's because someone told you weren't good enough. But I can tell you that yes, you are. So get out of your own way. Because, get out of your own way. That's it.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I don't like saying things like, oh, if I can do it, you can do it. I mean, like, yeah, like there's a time and place for that. But I tend to find that, like, I remember one time I was talking to a friend of mine and I said that, and this is when I was younger. And I was like, if I can do it, you can do it. But like the thing is, the person I was talking to looked up to me. So they saw me as like superior. So they're like, well, of course you can do it. You know what I mean? And they saw themselves as inferior because they were depressed. Like they were really struggling with depression at the time.
Right.
So I don't feel like that's the right thing to say, like in all circumstances. So for me, I just say like, yo, this is usually how I put it. I'm like, yo, like I'm talented at this. You might be talented at that. And this guy might be talented at this. And whatever your talents are, you can make something of it. Maybe you won't be a YouTuber. Maybe you won't be a Twitch streamer. Who cares? That doesn't make you inferior. Maybe you won't be an author. Who cares? Maybe you will be, I don't know. Maybe you'll be a comedian and everyone will know your name and think you're hilarious. Or maybe you'll have your own TV show. Maybe you will be a great investor, or you'll get into real estate and you'll, lead people to their dream homes. Maybe you'll be a missionary. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, find your talent and then don't be afraid to express it. That's what I think.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Because the truth is, the honest truth is, as much as we like to say, yes, like we're all equal and we're all equally capable, that is not true. Because let me tell you something. Yeah, like I'm really good at this or that, but there are things I know I'm not good at. So if you tell me if I can do it, you can do it. I'm like, no, I can't do that. You know what I mean?
That's true. If I wanted to play a professional sport, I could not do it.
Yeah, you are a thin creature.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
I would get destroyed out there.
Yeah, and like that's okay. Like that's what like that's okay. That's what makes life interesting. Like the diverse color palette of like creativity and skills and peoples. Like that's what makes life interesting. And you're just a part of that. You're just a one color in the grand painting, and you should shine.
Some people are an orc warlock. Some people are a gnome mage.
Yeah, just don't be a gnome though, because we don't like gnomes around here. Yeah,
I have a gnome.
I know. That's just absolutely ridiculous. You can't play a gnome. Filthy, disgusting.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is Crensloth.com.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay.
It's kind of a touchy topic, but
I understand.
Yeah, but going to crenslot.com, it's got like so many cool things, and I'd honestly go there if I was you.
Yeah. Well, I would actually go to the Nixxiom corner store.
Yeah.
Way more fascinating. Way cooler graphics.
Each their own.
More designs, you know,
Yeah.
drawn by the lovely Jean. Like, that's right. Well, not all of them, but most of them. Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Like, wow.
Whoa.
But yeah, man, I mean, we've pretty much hit our hour mark, so I figured we could start like, wrapping it and winding it down. Thought that was pretty interesting episode, interesting topic.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really good. I think I'm probably gonna get some food here next. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Probably gonna go to bed because I was taking a nap. Like, dude, I was so tired for most of today. Like, I did yard work all day, and oh my gosh. And so I was just exhausted. And then I did my stream, and I was tired during my whole stream. And I was like, I'm gonna take a nap. And then I ended up like doing a bunch of other crap. So I took this nap for like an hour before we recorded this, and I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm just gonna tell Crendor I don't feel good. But nah, man, responsibility first, rest later. So we did this, and now I think I'm gonna, I don't know, drink some orange juice, or maybe I'll go up to the gas station and get a Gatorade. I'm kind of feeling for a Gatorade.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to bed.
All right. Well, it's a good talk. And
Yeah,
next week we'll talk about something else.
Yeah, and the cool thing is I feel like we just kind of like scratched the surface, because there's still like so much.
Yeah. I actually really want to talk about social anxiety because I had that for a long time.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think it also is good because I'm sure there's someone listening to this, whether it be when we first released this episode or maybe in 4 years, and they're like, man, I have anxiety and I want to do this thing, but man, I'm never going to be able to do it because of this anxiety. It's like, well, look at Crendor. Like, look at me.
Yeah.
Look at a lot of people. Like, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing getting in your way is that statement of no, I can't.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be just some nerdy kid that everyone thought was like the quiet, shy kid. And now I'm like, I've, signed a bunch of autographs. I've done like podcasts in front of like 500 people. Like, I never would have thought I'd be doing that, but here I am.
Yeah.
And by like 500 people, I mean like live, like a live show.
Yeah. At the Cox and Crendor Con or whatever.
Yeah. Well, we did like some at PAX East and PAX South, and then we did our own show, which I think was like 250 people or whatever at like the Chicago thing. But yeah, I mean, just standing on a stage with 100, 200 people, 300 looking at you, and you're just like, hey, it's me.
No. 300 people watching, you're just like, what's up, gamers?
What's up, gamers? Yeah, but it's it's kind of like trial by fire, I guess. But we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, well, that's a big subject. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, Crendslots.com, Nixxiom Corner Store, support the podcast because YouTube will not allow us to monetize it because apparently this is not original content. Something stupid. Dumb. Blasphemy. I hate it. Ding. Be sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell just like that.
Hell.
And that's pretty much it. Leave your thoughts below. Leave suggestions for new things that we could talk about or questions, yada, yada, yada. And we will see you next week. So I guess all that said, Crendor, if you want to say anything else, you can, or just give the final word.